So since you guys were off for almost a week, anybody tried their hand at the homework?
Yeah,
Yeah? What did you find?
I think it was about how a scholar, about the qualities of a scholar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ones I found, he must guard himself, defend his faith, oppose um his passions, and obey the commandments.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of different places, so it depends where did you find it. So can you tell everybody where is this one from?
This one. Oh.
You
I
did
we
not,
found it in Google.
did not note it down?
No, I found it on Google.
You know that the Baha'is can't work now.
But I guess it's what do you say? I guess no. There was some Baha'i site. I'm not quite know.
Okay, be very careful about Baha'i sites.
Yeah, it was. I guess it has all the thing about Shoghi Effendi and the writings.
Yeah. All right, so make it for all of us. It should be our internal permanent habit to always know where the reference is, right? Which book and who. We are trained that way by the guardian to be that is our safety, right? But anyway, read it. And by the way, you know that once you read the writings just enough, you actually can take the flavor and know without seeing the name if it's Bob Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, the Guardian, or some previous things have been coded, right? So it's kind of a, it's not as common among us, so it's good, but I had found more than a couple of times that people will just kind of paraphrase it and then put it in quotations and put Abdul Baha. If you're paraphrasing, you cannot put it in quotations and put Abdul Baha, right? You're allowed to paraphrase it, of course, because that's the second best. We can't always, all of us don't have the best memory and we cannot always remember it, which is fine, but you must qualify it that you're paraphrasing. And a paraphrase cannot be quotation. Why? What is a quotation? You guys are going to, especially those of you who are in college now, you should know that, right? So when you put something in quotation mark and put somebody's name in there, then you're saying you're actually exactly lifting it from what they said and putting it here, right? So so it's not a small thing when it comes to scriptures, because that's how the previous generations, and we have the same danger, of course, if we don't stay vigilant, to went somewhere else, because a scholar is now paraphrasing the meaning of what they thought it was, but it is seen as if that was from the scripture, right? So when you go to so when you go to, I mean, the Bible itself is a huge problem with that, but when you go to Muslims and they will start quoting hadith and stuff and all that, a lots of time common Muslims will start quoting something that is in the Quran, but they've heard it from somebody in the way of the meaning, and now they're quoting it as if this is what it is. And by the way, as soon as we use the translatory language, whatever language that is, it has a little bit of danger of changing of meanings a bit, because words mean different things, right? A word, what a word means today, many words didn't mean the same thing 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. So one needs to be careful. That's why I always stress and tell ourselves that when Guardian is giving you the interpretations of the writings, he's not just a simple translator, right? So anybody with good English and good Arabic and good English and Arabic and Persian can translate, but that's still a translation, and you have to really be very careful to read it carefully and still try to strive to get to the original. When Guardian is doing that, he is the authoritative interpreter. So when he is choosing a word to translate something, it's actually a mode of interpretation as well. So it's very important to, for example, to read the Igan in English, no matter how good your Persian is, to see what is he talking about, what does it actually mean, right? So these things are important. So anyway, since you don't have the reference, we'll consider it a paraphrase. Now paraphrase and tell us, what did you read on that, Carmel? Or Iman, who found that paragraph? We are talking about the homework of what are the qualities of a scholar, by the way, everybody else who came in a bit late. Go on.
He must guard himself, defend his faith, oppose his passions, and obey the commandments.
Okay, then
That's what I found.
yeah, it's not there's a full paragraph on it. It's like that big. So when you find that, you'll know it, right?
Yeah, it was quite big, but then I saw the virtues and then just wrote it down. Like,
Okay.
this might be the one.
So after class, if you could be so kind to just post the whole paragraph, and then you can find out what the reference is to, just on the WhatsApp link. That will help everybody, right? All right. So then we'll see if it is the one I was after, and if not, we'll keep on looking. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. How do we defend our faith, by the way? One of the first command is for a scholar to defend our faith. How do we defend our faith? He's not saying defend the faith from others or in the community, but defend my own faith. How do I do that?
By being well versed in the writing.
By very deepened in the writings, the whole of it, yeah. The more I study it, the more I deepen in it, and more I stay with it. That's the only way I can defend my own faith, to stick with what God wants, right? Because we too get influenced by families, community, society, all of those things, by the way, right? So even if you do study every day, there is a great danger of getting other people's opinions influence. And some opinions are good and close enough to the things, and some are not. So the only way we can protect ourselves is to stick and study the writing, deepen all your life, every day of your life, and stick with the word. That does not mean that we fight with everybody, whatever. They have the right to create their own opinions. We can in a friendly manner and in a good manner, we can discuss those things. If somebody's wrong, to say, I think it means this, but we don't have authority over each other. But my own soul definitely is absolutely my responsibility. Same as each one of you, right? God will not say, did you do what community was doing? God will ask, did you do what I gave you, right? Every individual would be asked that question. Nobody will be asked if you followed the community or the country or the globe or whoever else out there. God will ask if I followed his word, right? So that's the only protection, really. Guardian in one place said, I think those of you who have received my emails would have seen it as a signature line under that. The knowledge is protection, right? So if you have the knowledge of the writings, that's your protection, actually, against all things that happen out there. All right, any comments, questions, anybody else? Welcome back, Rihanna, we missed you.
Hello,
Hello, how was your trip? Was it all good?
fine, very fruitful.
Good. Came back all spiritualized?
Yeah.
Very good. Anybody else, any questions, comments on what we just discussed? Shall we move on? We are on to seventh leaf. But since everything works, remember we discussed this several times. The word of God builds onto itself, right? So it's like a ladder. So you do this and then this happens. Then you do this and that happens. You can't take things out of the thing and say, oh, I'm going to do just that. It doesn't work in itself, right? So especially this problem that Baha'u'llah is talking about right now, between unity and justice. And for some reason, the Baha'is are very good at repeating the word unity all the time, but forget that without justice, unity cannot be achieved. Unity is built upon justice. Justice must be done. But why? What did the Lord say in the previous tablet somewhere in the very beginning? If you can read just first four lines of the sixth, then we'll move on to seventh, because we need to learn how to remember these things in context to each other. Whose turn is it? What is the?
Suleiman's turn. Islam, Z to
Suleiman.
8.
Do you want to read, Han, Suleiman? Read first 4 lines
Yeah,
of,
I will read it.
all right. Read first 4 lines of 6th leaf, please.
Okay. Of the most exalted paradise is the following. The light of man is justice.
The light of
Quench
man
it
is
not,
justice, right?
quench it not with the contrary winds of oppression and tyranny. The purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men.
The purpose
The
of
ocean of
justice is what we were after, right? Just that much. The purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men, right? So there are ingredients to make things, and once you use the ingredients to make things, then an end result happens. Unity is the end result of doing certain things and living certain way. Unity does not come first. Can you see that? Society must be just. Justice must be dispensed. Without that, it's impossible to achieve unity. So when we forget that part, but we all want unity. You all know, even if you're 3-4-year-old Baha'i, you know this. Baha'is are really like unity, unity, unity all the time, right? Really big on that. Why the world is not united then, even if millions of us are calling upon it, we think we are acting upon it and praying for it for hundreds of years now. You see the problem? So we are asking for a reward as an end result, but we are not quite paying attention to how that result is made. So you want your high school diploma, but you haven't gone to school and you didn't study anything. Didn't sit in any exam, didn't do anything. Do you think you'll get it? No. All the steps that you need to take to get to that diploma needs to be taken first. Make sense? So always read the writings in that fashion, in that sense, to see, okay, Baha'u'llah is saying you'll have this, or this is very important, or this is something I really want. But then he's giving you a whole ladder of things of how to get there. And if you don't use those and don't develop those, how to get there, we'll never get there, right? We often think in the modern society, almost in everywhere, that I've noticed at least, that people think if we stop war, just the end result of something is war. That if we stop war, that will bring peace. Is that true? No, according to the writings, that's not quite true. So what needs to happen to have peace? War needs to end, of course, absolutely.
Yes.
But end of war will not bring peace. End of what will bring peace?
Justice, elimination of prejudice.
Elimination of prejudice. Elimination of prejudice is a matter of justice. Why? Because all human beings are created equal in the sight of God at birth, right? Meaning we all deserve that light and respect towards humanity. Does that mean then that when they grow up, they should all make $200 each? No, that's not justice. Why that is not justice? So there are two things here. We are saying that all men are created equal in the sight of God right? They're born equal. God sees all babies. We love all babies equally, human beings too, by the way, right? So yes, I mean, we'll maybe love our own a little more than the neighbors, but nonetheless, all human beings, unless you're really evil, all human beings, you put a baby in front of you, you just love them. We love babies. All of us love babies. You don't care if it's a light baby or dark baby or skinny baby or fat baby or this kind of looking baby or that kind of looking baby. It's just there is something built inside human beings. A baby is put in front of you, your heart just leaps up and wants to love it and wants to protect it, right? So that is granted and given to all of us. Then it grows up. Then what? Should everybody have $200 each? No. We know that we don't have it, but that's one thing. We believe that we can't have it because that's not a matter of justice. Why? Trying to impose to have everyone have $200 each every month is not a matter of equality and justice. Why?
So not everyone will have the capacity to have the $200.
Yes. Wonderful. And why that? Because that too is implanted in us by our Creator, right? The babies are equal because the babies have no capacity yet to work on. We don't know what they have, and therefore they're all at that, they're starting at 0 level, right? The only thing equal they have is that they all smile when you feed them and they all cry when you ignore them, right? I mean, human beings have the least amount of instincts, by the way, right? Because it's a human instinct that makes you, smiling is an instinct actually, and crying is an instinct when you are in danger. Animals live their whole life on instinct. Everything is instinct. For human beings, we only have a couple of few things that are instinct, right? So that's why, like, scientifically speaking, or human or facial expressions on a baby, you only see the happiness and the anger, right? And then if he's sleeping, he's sleeping. Those are built-in instincts. There are very few certain things. Everything else is taught to a human by their parents. And that's why the human baby is the one that takes the longest to get on his feet. It's the longest little thing that needs such a long journey and nurturing before it can be independent. It's right. So it's not born with the dozens of instincts that keep it working that way. So besides that, we don't know. We don't know what it's going to do. All babies have those few things, so therefore they're all at that level. They're starting at that level. But every human being, as we know, and as God tells us, and as we can see, once we grow up, we have different capacities. And it's, if you look at the world, it's necessary, by the way. We cannot think of any other way to do it, even if we complain about it, right? If you get angry and stuff and all that, because maybe I'm left behind a little bit and other people are forward, and I'm here to sit down and complain, and I think this is not just. Try to think about it. What kind of system you would create that will be just than that, and it will work. Human beings have not been able to come up. Whenever we have tried to break from that and change it forcefully, it broke so much that it brought only death in millions, right? So it doesn't work. So the reality of life is that every human being, as soon as you can see that 2 to 3 to 4 people's capacity is different, their production is going to be different, right? And your results, material results, depend on your production. Well, the spiritual results depend on production too. It's just a different side of production, right? The more you put fruit into it, the more you study, the more you stick with God, the more you have His fear than anything else, the more righteous you will grow, right? So everything takes that effort. Some of us make this level of effort and the others are making that level of effort. So the one who is making that level of effort, spiritually or materially, of course, is going to gain more. And we are not saying that in between here and there are not injustices done by other human beings to human beings. That's a different story though, right? We are talking about if everything was perfect in a room, in a building, and there are 3, 4, 5, 10 people, and they're working on different projects or even same projects, you will see Abdul-Baha uses the example of same family. You have children in the same family, and you can see even though they're raised the same, got the same education, have the same parents, all the other facilities are provided exactly the same to them, but their capacities, their character, their qualities become different. They're different from each other. And that's part of that is innate. And part of that is how how we react to what is being given to us, right? So I often wondered about that two of us were given exactly the same condition as children, and we grew up absolutely opposite from each other. The way our outlook on life is, the way we deal with people, the way we deal with ourselves, and anything else. And I've always wondered about this all my life. I was like, we had exactly the same stuff given to us, which was very rough and tough. But one grew this way and the other grew that way. And that growing on separate ways that is what our own doing is. That is something, how our own clay and inner conscience works, right? So you'll notice that if you have two children grow in oppression, one will become merciful and one will become oppressor, right? And yet both of them are building their belief to why they are okay to be this way is on the same experience, right? But the outcome is one is saying, well, it hurts so much, I don't want to hurt others. I learned that lesson out of it. I know it hurts. Somebody calls you names, somebody says, you know, you shouldn't be sitting among us because your skin is dark. You know it hurt you. So as soon as you are in a place to hold somebody else's hand and invite somebody else, you remember that. So then you love them and don't let them feel like they cannot be here because of whatever. The other one says, I was oppressed that way. Why don't I have the right to do the same thing then? Right? And so out of the same stuff, two opposite characters develop. And Abdu'l-Baha talks about that. So you see that. So then again, even justice is not that this issue is just and the same end can be implemented to another issue. Every issue has its own merit, and that merit only can be learned from the basic foundation of the Word of God. Otherwise, we get lost. And that's what happens to human beings, by the way, right? And some of that thing will come in the 7th leaf, and we'll discuss that in detail to learn how to dissect our lives and how to see things. So the first and foremost, unity is an outcome of justice. You cannot be united first and then you will do justice. It's the opposite, right? You must be just-minded. So prejudice then is a matter of injustice. Why? Because I was not born in a place I chose. I did not choose my capacity. I might be somebody who can only do certain level of jobs all my life. And if you are then going to be prejudiced against me because my mother tongue is this way, or I was born that way, or my color is that way, or that's the only kind of work I can do all my life, even if I improve within myself, but to you that means nothing. If you treat me badly on any of those events, then you are unjust. Because I did not choose any of those things. And I'm trying to do my best according to what was given to me. What you can judge me on is only one thing. And what is that? There's only one thing you can judge me on, and you still cannot like curse and swear and hate and do any of those kind of things to me. But you do kind of respect me more or less. There's only one thing that you judge that respect on. What is that? Character, right? Character. So if you built if that's the only just thing that is allowed to you. We look at people from the merit of their character for what they're doing, not on their skin, not how much money they make, not which kind of job they'd hold. Well, there's some jobs, of course, right, that you shouldn't be a murderer and drug dealer and stuff like that. That's evil. We are talking about in the goodness of society, from a street sweeper to a king. All those jobs are necessary. Some will be doing that, some will be doing that. Some have the capacity for this, some have capacity for that. All is fine. My respect to a human being is not based on what job they're doing out there, unless they're drug dealers and criminals. That's different, right? So, and we know that a street sweeper's character can be 100% higher than a king's, no? So when it comes to what God allows you to look at, that no matter where you're at, you can cultivate that into the highest level possible, regardless of what is happening in your material life, right? A king can be a total nonsense that you cannot bear them for a day. And a street sweeper is somebody that you will want to sit in their feet and learn from them. No? So the thing that actually give us rank and station in the actual life of God is available to every single human being, right? Therefore, in our potential to where we need, how we need to rise, he has created us all equal. He has given that capacity to us to build that character. It's not impossible for a street sweeper to be absolutely honest, absolutely sincere, and an upworthy character within its own realm. That is available to everyone, right? And since it's the life of the soul that makes me a human being, the material things then are earned or have under that shadow. They're not permanent and they don't mean anything other than that we should be earning our livelihood ethically and morally. God does not care if you live on $200 or $200,000 a month. He's not after that. And that's not going to take you heaven or hell either. It's just going to have more comfortable life here to some degree. That's not necessary either, by the way, right? So let's say I have very little money today, or I had lots of money before. Either way, what it helped is, okay, maybe I ate a little bit better food. Maybe I lived in a little bit better home. Maybe I drove a little bit better car. Maybe I was able to buy 3 more shirts than I do now. None of them is going to go to me or with me to eternity. None of them helps my eternal life. It just makes life comfortable here, right? In the end, if I'm struggling today or if I wasn't, either way, this life is going to end in the end. And then all of us are going to go into the same kind of grave. If our people or family puts a more expensive headstone on your grave or a little stone on your grave, means nothing to you anymore. You're done. Right? You're done. If they make your grave into marble or leave it to dust and is not even known after a while, means nothing to your soul. It affects nothing anymore to you. You're done. All of us are gone into that hole. Our soul ascends, starts its life of eternity, which already did. And that's all. And the life of eternity is based on that I was sweeping the streets, but I was always honest. I was sincere. I made my earning ethically and morally. I loved God and I loved my fellow human beings, and I did my best to live in here as a loving person as best as I could. That's it. Street sweeper can do that. The king can do that. And both of them are judged on those results. In actuality, actually, Baha'u'llah talks about it. A king has so much more burden on him than a street sweeper. Baha'u'llah warns about it, that the more you get, the more hindrances you have, right? And same for scholarship too, by the way, all right? So a common person who doesn't really know that much, he's just doing his best, living his life properly. He has finished this much of a cup all his life. Then there is all of us who have all degrees and we have all knowledge and we have all capacity. And now you are like that much of a bottle and it's just this much full, right? This much water actually is more than that cup, by the way. The cup is smaller. It's a lot more than that cup. But I'm so empty. I'm so empty. And God's like, what the hell did you do? Why were you so empty? Right? And this guy, he's like, ooh, overflowing, it's done. Whose responsibility is more? The more you're given, the more you'll be asked for. Right? So be mindful of that too. Everything you get, everything better you get in this life adds up to your responsibilities and makes it harder to achieve that same level of sincerity and living that is allowed to that guy who's doing his perfect best into what was given to him. He wouldn't be asked if he didn't change the community and the city and the country. He'll be just asked what he did with his life and with his family at most, a couple of friends at most. That's it. You go to a higher level, now God is asking you about the whole community and the whole city or the whole country or the whole globe. Is that what you want? As soon as you will, any one of you who has been in management positions and is a trustworthy, sincere, truthful person knows that that is a terrible thing to ask for. Don't want to manage people. It's the hardest thing ever, right? And the more you do that, the more you come home and go like, oh my God, I can never get to heaven, right? Because it's like impossible. So be careful. Baha'u'llah warns about this. We always ask for those things that seem really big and great and grandeur here in the world, but they come with lots of hardship, lots of hardship.
And a lot of enemies too.
Yes, Baha'u'llah says that. Having more is actually like troublesome. Yeah, troublesome, right? So be careful what you ask for. Let's go to 7th leaf, and this is tying up into everything we are talking about right now. Who's next?
The word of God, which the supreme pen has recorded on the 7th leaf of the most exalted paradise is this. O ye men of wisdom among nations, shut your eyes to estrangement, then fix your gaze upon unity.
And fix your gaze upon unity.
Cleave tenaciously unto that which will lead to the well-being and tranquility of all mankind.
Of all mankind.
This span of earth is but one homeland and one habitation.
This
It
span of earth
behooveth-
is but one homeland and one habitation.
It behooveth you to abandon vainglory which causeth alienation and to set your hearts on whatever will ensure harmony. In this estimation of the people of Baha,
Man's glory lieth in his knowledge, his upright conduct, his praiseworthy character, his wisdom, and not in his nationality or rank.
O people of the earth, appreciate the value of this heavenly word. Indeed, it may be likened unto a ship for the ocean of knowledge and a shining luminary for the realm of perception.
All right. So let's see in the light of this what is happening in the world and how do we then dissect this. I think we spoke about that last time, that because of right now in America, we have our election season, and it's much worse election season than most election seasons we ever had. So lots of things are abrupting on opposite ends of, because we only have two parties. So it's like kind of two arguments that people argue, one on that extreme and the other on that extreme most of the time. So we do not do partisan politics, as Baha'is are forbidden that. We don't choose parties. We don't choose that. We do choose righteousness and knowledge, though. We do choose the issues to say, where is any issue that God wants it? That's where we stand, and we should be able to discuss those things, right? In general, most of the time we are so afraid maybe, or we don't know what we're doing. We kind of become totally like, what you call it? Summum bukmun, like deaf and dumb. Like the moment something starts, you will notice that. And I was that way a very long time. And it was very uncomfortable because people looked badly on the faith often, as if you just have nothing to offer. And so slowly you learn that, yes, we have everything to offer. Every opportunity, Guardian says, every opportunity must be taken to bring the answers of the faith to the populations. Then how do we do that, right? How do you do that and you still keep yourself safe from the areas that God doesn't want me to enter, right? So without becoming without coming the lover of this party or that party that is not allowed to me, or cursing and swearing this and getting attached to that is not allowed to me. We stay neutral to all these things from all politics, but we don't stay neutral to the problems of our societies, do we? We are here actually to participate, to bring the answers so the societies can be better. So then if somebody's asking that, okay, so let's say somebody's saying elections are corrupt, we should be able to bring out the writing side of things to say we can start doing this, right? There are communities who are doing this and they're successful. But be mindful. We had this discussion during last feast, and it was very interesting that I think I already spoke about that the Baha'is themselves too don't really understand where the strengths are of our own system. And if we actually are doing everything that Baha'u'llah has given, we kind of take it for granted as if whatever is happening is truly Baha'i. Everything you're doing in your life, is it truly Baha'i? It's not. And so when it's not, and then you bring that out to people, they will mock you. Because we stay quiet to each other. Somebody says, oh, look how wonderful. We are doing this wonderful thing. And the room goes quiet, right? Because we think unity means don't speak up, don't complain, don't criticize, right? Even when wrong things are happening. That's not what we are called for, but that's a separate issue, right? So then we habitually grow into something like whatever is happening. If the Baha'is are doing that, oh, it's wonderful. Really? Well, okay, so we have learned to stay quiet to each other. The world doesn't care. The world doesn't care. If you're not doing something that is perfectly Baha'i according to the writings, then it has problems. As soon as you'll bring that to the outside people, they go like, they shred it, right? They shred it. Like, really? I'm like, are you stupid? And then we, of course, are hurt and we don't want to engage because we don't know how to defend it. So rather than presenting to what we are doing, first of all, learn if what we are doing is actually to the writings or not. If it is according to the writings, then you have the defense, by the way. Then you know how to defend it, truly. Because then your logic system is aligned to why it is happening that way, because God's word is absolutely 100% logical and rational to the problems of this world. So if we are implementing something truly, then the whole line of our logic and rationale is clear cut in our heads and we can defend it. But if it's not, and you just learn to be hunky-dory and say, oh, well, because Baha'is are doing that, it has to be perfect, then the outside world wouldn't care. You present that is faulty, they'll shred it. They'll bring the arguments and logic to say, well, this doesn't work and that doesn't work and that doesn't work. Right? So all we can do is in any given problem in our society, when the discussion happens, and don't force this discussion is either, by the way. People are not stupid, they see it. So if we are sitting everywhere trying to like force or talk into it to say, let's talk something Baha'i, it doesn't work. You must be an adult about it, right? So, but the discussion is happening, you're part of it, then discuss it from the light of the writings for what needs to happen, right? So every single issue in any country and society, if you study the writings, you have the answers. You have the answers. God has given the answers, right? So then let's see, but it needs to be built onto each other. Don't pick up things as slogans. They don't work. And we are all kind of prone to that, by the way. And slowly life teaches us wisdom and issues. So for example, I'll bring out one issue that is happening here and you tell me, you dissect it for me. Where is it right and where is it wrong? Americans are fighting over the idea of a concise, closed nationality as Americans, or the other side is screaming and want to have open borders. Our communities are literally like torn from each other over many issues, but this is one of them, all right? So because of that, I don't know if you watch anything or news or this or that, you will hear lots of stuff talked about immigration, illegal immigration, who's American, who's not American, so forth and so on. You hear that outside. Okay, so you have the lump sum of an idea what they are both saying. Tell me where both of them are right or wrong, according to my writings, not what you like or dislike personally. Well, our personal dislike and like and dislike should not be any different from what Baha'u'llah says anyway. But lots of times we don't know what Baha'u'llah says, so we run after our own things. But according to the writings, tell me what idea out of that should emerge that is closer to the writings the way we understand them today.
Couple of things. One is Baha'u'llah says the world is one country. However, there's also saying we need to be obedient to the law of the land. We have the jurisdictions that are set for administrative purposes. So practically on that plane, there will need to be some law and order and some discipline, is what I
Yes,
believe.
wonderful. Anything else? Anybody else wants to add? Can we have open borders then? If it's one country and mankind is citizens, can just no borders should be there? Like people should be free to do whatever they want? Is that what writings talk?
It will take time.
Okay, so if it will take time, are you saying that one day it will be that way or must be that way? Is that what the writings are talking about?
It says
Because if it
that,
takes time, then the matter is not if it takes time or not. The matter is if the thing is right or not. If it's right, then it's right now. Because of our capacities and not understanding is not happening is a different issue. What is right at all times. It's right now. But okay, we cannot accomplish it. Someday we'll accomplish it. Is that what the writings are talking about?
no, we have to protect our borders, right? So when you're protecting our borders, then you have your nationality. Only thing that you won't go for war, but when someone, like for example, in India immigration, we have the Bangladesh problem that is coming. All the Bangladeshis go.
Yeah.
So then when you're coming, like as Farzana said, that you should see whether it's legalized, whether you have the proper documents and all that stuff. And then when they're coming, you abide by the law of the land. Like, it's not like they are different, you're refugees and you're putting them out or something. If the capacities that they can earn, they can have a livelihood in India like any other Indians, then give them that opportunity. So as far as they are following the law of the land, like, you don't bring your thing here in India, like.
Yeah.
The Indian constitution talks something, if you're okay with it, then well and good.
Yep. Perfect. So Baha'u'llah says the earth is but one country and mankind is citizen. That's how we look at each other from the non-prejudice point of view. An Indian is not better than an American and an American is not better than an Indian. Materially, yes, huge difference. As a human being, if an Indian is a better character, then Indian is a better person than an American. That American might be much more richer than an Indian. And if a very rich American is better character and a very poor Indian is vile and evil and criminal, then poverty is not a badge we wear on our shoulders either. We often look at that very wrongly as well, right? That as if that the poor people are always good. No. And Baha'u'llah talks about that. If a poor person steals a penny and a rich person only gives it out, then a poor person is criminal and the rich person is not. Even though he just stole a penny, he's criminal. Right? So what is righteous is same for all of us. What is criminal is same for all of us. That is another equality in the eyes of God and in justice. Make sense? So regardless of where we belong, what God still looks at it and what we should look at it, a person's character on a personal individual basis. On an administrative national basis, God says what? It's not forbidden to love your country, but he's asked to love everyone. It's not forbidden. It's a righteous thing to love your country, but don't hate others, right? I'm paraphrasing all of these things. That's what writings teach us. It's okay to love your country, but don't be so blindly nationalistic that now you hate everybody else who is around and just me. That's not allowed. But love for your country is a natural thing, Baha'u'llah says. It's a natural thing for a human being, same as we love our family. It's impossible to ask me to not love my family and love others. I cannot love others if I don't love my family. I learn what love is from loving my family. Then if my family is rotten and this and that and the other, that grows in a whichever direction. And that grows on that direction because depending on our characters. But first and foremost, we do love our own children more. We are responsible towards our own children and our own immediate family more. If you have money and somebody's suffering, your first obligation is towards your immediate kin. Once you are dealt with them and you're just with that, then you expand outside. Knowledge-wise, your own self first, your own family, then your own community, then your own city, then your own country, then the globe. Guardian's very clear about that too, right? Even for any kind of transformation or any kind of help, it starts here first. So then Baha'u'llah says, fix your borders, right? Fix your borders and then have no war. And then gives a warning that if somebody does then infringe on rights of another's national borders, then everybody should get together and put it down, right? But fix your borders. Be obedient to the nation under which you live. So there will be nations. At least for this dispensation. We don't know what's coming after the next manifestation. We are not here to judge that. We are not here to live for that. We are here to live what Baha'u'llah gives for his time. His time at least lasts 1,000 years. Abdul Baha says even maybe 5,000 years, whatever that is, right? Until the next manifestation shows up, we are here to live what Baha'u'llah gave. And then what Baha'u'llah gave in the writings, then we need to dissect that and see and kind of get a vision too for what is it talking about. It wouldn't be 100% Baha'i world. There would be countries that wouldn't be Baha'is. There would be rulers and even kings and stuff and all that. We can discern all of that from the writings because the writings call for it, right? So then if I'm Pakistani and you're Indian and I just sneak into your place, I've already broke the rule for your government that says don't sneak into my place. Or vice versa. Don't sneak into my place. If you want to come, ask me you want to come, I'll decide if I let you come or not. It's the same story as my own house is. Any one of you, I love you very much, but yet we don't kind of go like, okay, I'm going to pack my bags and dash into somewhere. Even when you do that to certain relationships, you've already built that relationship where you know that you are allowed, right? I actually know that I can pack my bags and if I can get a visa and buy my ticket, I can come to you, even as a surprise. And you will love that because I wouldn't tell you because I want to surprise you, right? So I didn't ask prior permission because I know that I have prior permission. Same vice versa. If you come this way, same vice versa. But that permission has been built into our relationship. If you didn't have that relationship, you don't just go into anybody's home and say, well, I'm here. Not allowed. Do not enter anybody's home without knocking. The writings say that. Without their permission, don't enter. That is permission. That is your private property laws. All of that is in that sense. What's yours is yours and nobody else has right to it without your permission. Don't take anything from anyone without their permission. So there you are, right? So the countries have their rules and their regulations and their laws. If they're just laws or unjust laws is a different story. Whatever their laws are, I'm bound, humanity is bound by God to be obedient to that. So if I'm breaking that, then the country has the reason and the right to say, no, thank you. We don't want you, right? So then, and here, lots of other issues happen then. So for example, we were just discussing that last night. And I said, I mean, I am first generation immigrant here, legal immigrant. And so I say like, I brought my capacities, my degrees, everything here, and I benefited the nation by working here, giving my services, paying my taxes and all that, right? But let's say if I came in by wrong means, and then I couldn't stand up on my feet, and this nation had to take care of me, which they do, by the way. Do you think that's fair to the ones that they should be helping? Because your job in your family, first and foremost job is your own family, right? So when you are taking care of it to a good level, and then you have extra, yeah, you should be compassionate and help somebody else. But by the same token, the writings call is what? If it's a liar, don't tell them they're not lying. If it's a thief, there is no compassion, but they should have punishment. So you have a little bit extra and you say, well, I'll forgive the thief and settle them down. That's not real compassion, really, because reward and punishment both needs to happen. The one who broke the law must suffer for it, pay for it. So all of these different issues, when you look at them for what is it the writings are calling for, that very first sort of idea and slogan that happens when we hear mankind is, the earth is but one country and mankind is citizen, the first slogan that happens to us in first understanding, as if then, everybody should be free to do whatever, right? In my country, I can go wherever. But then you add all the writings to it, to how the globe will look like and how it needs to act, then that thing doesn't work anymore. Right? That thing doesn't work anymore. Now, I believe someday it would be the way United States is, because we've been told that that's a model. United States itself is built as a model. What it means is that it's 50 countries together. They're not one country. That's why we say United States. There are 50 states, 50 countries, and they have come together as one continent under a federated system. The writings teach us that's how the globe will be run someday. So each of our state has its own laws. When you say the governor of such and such, that governor is the one that is the top ruler in the state, but executive ruler. Every state has its own Congress that are the lawmakers. Every state has its own Senate. Every state is run exactly the way the federal government runs, but the state runs just for its own state. So if you are then combined as a national, Baha'u'llah talks about international laws. Without international laws, you cannot have the unity that has been called for, right? So then look at the American sample. If it's running perfect, let's say, we do have our problems and it's long ways to go, but we're talking about just basic model to what God has called for. So now you have 50 countries, you do have to do business with each other, you have to go to each other, you have to do all of those things. When it comes from state to state to state, then federal laws come into being. You have federal agencies that can work within inside states, because otherwise, let's say just police. You have Indian police, you have Pakistani police. Pakistani police cannot come to India and Indian police cannot go to Pakistan. If you have the roads back and forth to everything and somebody runs into, they committed a crime in your province and they run to Pakistan, you have no recourse for that. We don't have that. So we have a federal, what you call FBI. So if they cross the borders, then that police comes in and it's their job now to take care of it, because the state police cannot go to the other state. Their jurisdiction is only within your state. All of these things have to be learned to see then how the globe will work. Still, each state has its own autonomy. Within their own local things, they can make their own local laws and they can do their own local things. Only when it affects other states and other borders and all that, then they have to be bound by the federal law. So everybody can have a unified place in many ways, right? So all of these things then, yes. So now that America is unified to that level and there is a federal government, we almost don't even think about it. We don't even think about it that we have 50 countries until some law breaks down at that level or this level and discussion happens. They're like, no, you can't touch me here. I'm my own country, right? So you will hear those arguments every now and then between a state or the federal government. So forth and so on, right? But in general, on daily life, we moved. We packed our stuff and we moved and we came to another state where we're living here. Because we're citizen of these 50 states as one citizen. See what Baha'u'llah is talking about? So yes, Earth is but one country and mankind is citizen, and yet we would have all of these hundreds of nations under here. They will have their administrative borders, they will have their own laws, they will have their own governments. And if we can take care of certain type of prejudices, blind nationality, and eliminate war, we could have freer trade among ourselves and a lot more unity. If education is equal in all human beings, every country is striving to give you the basic education Abdul Baha was talking about. Everybody has a same international moral code, same federated moral law, then you're free to go wherever and people won't bother. Because it wouldn't matter. Right now it matters. Right now it affects people's lives. It destroys people's lives. So they have the right to defend their home. Make sense? So then we must, it took me a number of long years to kind of, when our country actually started abrupting, I started looking back into the writings again, and I'm like, wait a minute. Writings are not calling for what the other side of extreme people are saying. We should just have open borders and do whatever. No, you can't just do whatever. Why? Because my country runs on my taxes, right? My country runs on my taxes, meaning the citizens' taxes. Then citizens define to say, okay, we want to do this and this and this for our money, and we can help this and this type of people, right? So let's say you have 10 children and you bring in a certain amount of money and you're raising them. Your first duty is to educate them, to feed them, to clothe them, to protect them, to whatever, run a household. Somebody else dumps their 10 children into your home and makes you obliged to take care of them. How would you feel? It's not only that it breaks down the unity in the community, it actually breaks down the system. It doesn't work. All right. But if you had 10 children and you had some other extra income and you decided, you said, you know what, my uncle and aunt or whoever, or even a total stranger, for a Baha'i shouldn't matter. Somebody's in need. I can help 2 of their kids too. They have so much burden and all that, I'll help too. Invite them in. You invite them in, they learn what the rules of your household are. They sit in there, they help you, you help them. They're grateful, good people, you will help them. You will raise them up, maybe you feed them, educate them, whatever. More humanity God helped than just your own. You made more friends. They saw God's mercy more and gratitude. And humanity got risen up because you were able to help 2 more than your own, right? Everything is beautiful. Compared to somebody forces you to help their 10 kids when you can barely make for your own. It doesn't work, right? So justice then brings unity. Makes sense then? If it's breaking down, then this justice is breaking down at some place core level. If you cannot do justice, then there will be no unity. Make sense? So all of these issues then, this is just one example. Any issue, we can discuss the issues, but discuss them from, first of all, understanding the writings to how they actually are an overall protection for all human beings. But all human beings are, I am not forced to take care of all human beings because I can't. That will really break down. Yes, I'm asked to not be prejudiced. I'm asked to love my fellow being. But then again, it comes down to my resources and what is my first priority. The writings are very clear about that too. Right? We're supposed to love everybody, but God has never said anywhere in here that you should take everybody's kids because they're suffering out there and it's your responsibility to feed them, to raise them. Doesn't. Why doesn't it? I mean, we're Baha'is, we understand that. We should love everybody. Why didn't God force us to do that? Because it cannot be done. Right? So it cannot be done. So in a communist style of thinking, which is forbidden in the writings, where you think that you have compassion, that everybody should have this $200 per month equal, that doesn't work. It's not just. That's why it breaks down. I cannot raise everybody's children. At the same time, I ask to try my best to help as much as I can. As much as I can. That's left to my decision, by the way. All right? God has not dictated in the writings, in my scriptures, to say, okay, if you make $100, you must spend 40 on others. Has said that nowhere. Said that nowhere. He put a thing to say, I need to pay Hakokola, but I need to pay it voluntarily. He didn't even force that onto me. It's my decision. He has put a system in to say this is how your inheritance should look like, but it's not forced onto you. When you leave your will, you can do whatever you want to do with what you made. God has left that to me. Right? So if God has left that to me and did not allow my own institutions to force me into any direction, they can't. The house cannot force you to, you must pay this much money to them. They cannot force you. It's not allowed to them. In the writings, it's written that they're not allowed. They're not allowed to oppress or force anybody. They can do general appeal out there and people decide what they want to do with it. It's written in our scriptures, right? So your top judicial institution cannot force you in those matters. Then why would anybody else, a different person or nationality or somebody else, should force my household how I should be living my life and what should I do with it? Doesn't work, right? So look at all of these issues wherever you are. I mean, first of all, I think the people in the world take too much liberty. And let's say if things are happening in India, if somebody asks me what I feel about some issue, I can dissect it out of the writings again to say, well, according to the writings, it should be this way or that way, and that's about it. Because it's not my job to be upset about what's happening there. That's those people, that's your job to deal with it. Vice versa, right? But right now, the globe is erupting because everybody wants to fix everybody else. Right? I mean, they're like left and right, everybody's angry about what's happening on the other side of the globe somewhere else where they have no room to help or to have any say. But we will be destroying our lives to say whatever without even understanding what's happening on the ground. So there's that problem too lately. But for us, for Baha'is, if you want to even make a judgment in your head about something, then make that judgment according to the writings. Then dissect it to say, what is it that God is calling for? And as a whole. And the moment you look at it as a whole to what God is calling for, how we should live for ourselves and with each other, a very different picture emerges than what we commonly sort of feel very good about every day in our Baha'i communities. Very different picture. Right? So same thing. If you will ask the Indian police to be caring about what criminals are doing in Pakistan, you'll break down your whole country. It cannot be done. Their job is their own people. There still will have to be this concept of your own people, even if that did become one whole globe as one country. You cannot administer things that large that way. You still would have what you call provinces, or we call states or countries, or whatever you want to call them. They still would have their jurisdictions. They still will have to abide by certain laws. Another side glimpse of that is in our own law, by the way. So let's say you are in Bombay community and you move to Delhi. Can you vote both places? No. So why two countries people should have this luxury? Right? So if you went to Delhi for just a month or 2 months, then you still vote back to Bombay where you are at, and then your time is done, you come back home and everything is the same. But if you move to Bombay as to Delhi, your whole vote moves there. You cannot vote back here. You don't belong back here. You cannot attend this feast when you come for a visit and say and tell those people how they should be spending their money, because you don't have right. Those rights, certain discussions are the rights of voting members only. So then you cannot have just Tom, Dick, and Harry come and vote for you in your elections. Baha'u'llah doesn't allow that. Make sense? So then if Baha'u'llah doesn't allow that, then you cannot have non-citizens voting in your system, period. Very simple question answered. Don't have to go any further anywhere else on morality ladder to say if it's right or wrong. Baha'u'llah doesn't allow that. Doesn't allow that in his own communities. Of course, then it's not allowed because we are the ones who are building foundation of how humanity should live. Always remember that. Writings are the foundation of how human beings should live. Right? You cannot vote into communities. And if you're out of your community as you moved somewhere even if you just moved out and you moved for 3 months, your thing moves. You belong to that people. And your loyalties belong to that community then. Your fund belongs to that community then. Doesn't matter how much you like Bombay and love Bombay. All of your actions and all of your life belongs to that new community as your own. So that then shows you that if I do go somewhere, then I'm loyal to that. Then I abide by that, but then that's what it is, right? All of these show you what are the answers to our questions that we are asking outside of the faith in our communities. Your foundation is the faith, right? So justice must be done. And you see all of these things, how they are actually justly described in the Word of God. Because if you do it any other way, people feel oppressed. If you feel oppressed, you will despise those that you think are oppressing you. Right? Prejudice, in my understanding, is built over two evils. One is that you just are prejudiced. You're too full of yourself and you don't like anybody else. Or prejudice is born out of oppression too, by the way. If you feel oppressed by 10 people, you'll dislike those 10 people. And then you'll find all sorts of excuses why you should dislike them. So injustice does not work whichever way you kind of implement it. Right? So yes, we love the globe, but we love our countries first. We just don't love our countries at the expense of the globe. We just don't hate anybody else. Same as we love our families and we love human beings. But my first duty is to my own household. Make sense? So God himself has broken those things down for us very nicely, where then they are manageable and doable. And that's why the religion of God works and the philosophies like Marxism and communism don't work. Because human beings have come up with an idealism that is not real. And whatever is not real is not just. Justice is a very real thing. According to what human beings are, what our capacities are, how we are built, what we love and hate, and what we should love and hate. Religion of God knows how our connections are. And so he gives you a just system to fulfill those connections. When we try to manipulate those connections because we think we know better, which is called shirk, because you think you know better than God, you're calling yourself partner with God. Every single time it breaks down, history is very clear about it. Even within religious communities, what God gives when you follow that, it works. If any of your own scholars, your own this, that, or the other think that they know better, and they create something else that is not really in line with the writings, in line, whichever the society is, Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Jews or Baha'is or whoever, if their societies create things that are not with the writings, their own stuff doesn't work. It's just a simple matter. And that's why Baha'u'llah claims, right? There's nowhere for you to go to. You can't go anywhere else but here. So what God gives works, and whatever we make of our own, away from him, doesn't work and will never work. Not then, not now. All right. Okay, let's read next one quickly. Let's read the whole of it and we'll discuss it. The 8th leaf. Whose turn is it? By the way, I do invite you that all the discussions we had, because these are our problems, daily problems in our lives, in our countries. Please reflect on them. Reflect on them in the light of the writings and prepare yourself to how to talk about it when you sit with people. All right? Go on. 8th leaf.
It's Reshma's turn.
Is not.
Reshma cannot read. She's sitting in the library, she said. So who's next?
Mira.
Mira.
Which the Supreme Pen has recorded on the
It is.
of the most exalted paradise is the following. Schools must first train the children in the principles of religion.
Schools
that-
must first train the children in the principle of religion.
So that the promise and the threat recorded in the books
Promise
of
and the threat, right? Reward and punishment. Promise and the threat recorded in the book of God may prevent them from the things forbidden.
and adorn them with the mantle of the commandments. But this in such a measure that it may not injure the children by resulting in ignorant
By
fanaticism.
resulting in ignorant fanaticism and bigotry, right? So most of our countries have become secular in schools, by the way. So you see the problem? Morality and ethics is something that is ingrained on you in a very young age, or it becomes very difficult to take. If you teach a child from very young age not to lie, it will be really hard for them to turn into a liar. But if you didn't teach a child that and they did whatever, it's very difficult to turn them into honest people. Right? So this has been repeated in many times. Abdul Baha talks about it, that when you first start teaching your children, you must teach them religion first, then anything else, then any sciences, then any all that, right? So let's take a quick example. Let's say if I was taught how to love all human beings, and my job here is to develop and produce things that are developing myself and everybody else rather than demolishing them. Basic ethical principle of love towards others, right? If I was taught that from a very young age, really ingrained into me, then I grew up and became a scientist of the very high caliber. You think I will develop atom bomb to bomb other countries? I could not bring myself to that, right? I'll be building solar panels and those kind of things or whatever else that helps myself and others farther than what I've been helped with already. I'll be building equipment that is safer to use for all of us. I'll be using equipment that brings more prosperity to myself and others in better ways. Right? But if I was taught, because that's how I learn, absolute blind nationalism, which is the evil of our modern times, by the way, then making the bombs and dropping on others is pretty okay, because I only love what is here. I don't care about anybody else. Make sense? You raise righteous children, they'll be righteous businessmen, they'll be righteous scientists, they'll be righteous doctors. You don't do that, then all is good. There is no higher power, higher standard that holds me back. Right? If I learned as a very little child that God says, if I killed one person, I killed whole humanity. If I killed one person, innocent person, by the way. So be careful, pay attention to that. Lots of times you see out there, people are equating deaths in a war similar to murder in the street. These are not two same things in the book of God. All right? Killing an innocent person who has done nothing wrong and you as an individual murdered them, then as if you killed the whole humanity. And if you saved an innocent life, as if you saved the whole humanity. If I know that from a very young age, my whole outlook on what I'm producing, what I'm doing, and how I'm interacting with others would be very different. Very different, right? So any of the moral, ethical things that you think of, we are not, when we talk about religion, what unfortunately we do is, oh, just have the children memorize some prayers and bang the floor 5 times a day without understanding what God wants out of my character. That's not what God is talking about, right? Teach them to be honest. Teach them to be sincere. Teach them the fear of God, that he's watching and we need to do right. And the prayers and all that is like little cherries and food that helps on the side, right? So teach the religion of God first. And you see the problem on the globe. Most societies, most large countries have turned their education system into secular stuff. And we're not doing any of those things anymore. Then again, he warns that too, resulting in ignorant fanaticism or bigotry. When does that happen? When you teach them that only my faith saves and yours is evil and you'll go to hell. That's when bigotry and fanaticism comes in. But if you can teach them what every faith is teaching, God loves all mankind. God created all mankind. God wants you to be honest to anybody who crosses your mind, your way, path. Doesn't matter if that person is of your own color or not, your own city or not, your own nation or not. My job is not to be sincere to these type of people and not to those type of people. My job is to be sincere, period. Right? So if I'll be teaching religion from the actual real religious angle, then there is no room there for fanaticism and bigotry. But in most societies, from very young age, parents themselves first do this prejudice teaching to children. Don't talk to that person, don't talk to that person. This or that will send you to hell. Rather than talking about characteral issues, right? Which can be taught to say, don't steal. If somebody's stealing, that's bad. But don't say if somebody's Christian, that is bad. Right? I mean, parents do that. Parents won't allow their children to mingle with what they think is not a, my own thing, my own people, my own country, my own language, my own religion. That it teaches prejudice and bigotry. But if you only taught that stealing is bad, then it doesn't matter if whatever your religion is. If somebody else is stealing is bad, if one of your own is stealing is bad. Simple, right? Next.
Isha's done.
Isha. Isha, do you want to read?
The word of God, which the Supreme Pen hath recorded on the 9th leaf of the most exalted paradise, is
Oh,
this.
we are on the second paragraph on the 8th leaf one.
Okay. It is incumbent upon the trustees of the House of Justice to take counsel together regarding those things which have not outwardly been revealed in the book, and to enforce that which is agreeable to them. And God will verily inspire them with whatsoever he willeth, and he verily is the provider, the omniscient.
All right. So then Baha'u'llah is talking about education right before that and the House of Justice right after that. Would this paragraph mean everything, whatever is out there? No. Again, in context to what is being talked about right now. So let's say you want to implement education systems and stuff and all that, then they should decide if it's with the writings or not with the writings. But can they go somewhere else totally? No. Why are they here? They're here because they're Baha'is. They're here because it's a Baha'i institution and Baha'u'llah has given them the charge to say how to deal with the world according to the Baha'i scriptures and writings. So that's then not an institution that can be all powerful in itself, no matter what it does, as sometimes people claim. No, it's limited within its jurisdiction within the writings, right? And in this certain instance, we're talking about education. to how to then implement that. Go on. Subsidiary legislation, subsidiary decisions according to the writings, right? Next.
We have formally ordained that people should converse in 2 languages, yet efforts must be made to reduce
Must
them
be
to 1.
made to reduce them to 1. Baha'is
Like,
often don't know this part, by the way. All right, go on.
likewise, the scripts of the world, that men's lives may not be dissipated and wasted in learning diverse languages. Thus, the whole earth would come to be regarded as one city and one land.
Finish up the next line, huh? Okay, never mind. That's with the next one. All right, so makes sense. This already exists in the Akdas too, by the way, and the people don't pay attention. Why? Because in our social circles, we have made it very famous to say, Baha'u'llah says, you can keep yours and learn another. Everybody knows that, right? You can have your own, you can have your own mother tongue and learn an international one, and that's good, and that's what he wants. Most Baha'is don't know that Baha'u'llah actually went and said, no, just take one. All right? So then, sorry, the moment he says, just take one, your whole dialogue that it was built on that, oh, diversity in that sense, we all keep our own culture, but when we have this other thing on the top, goes down the drain. Right? If you want to be one humanity on this one globe, you'll have to have some things developed like this to make you as one and all. And those of you who do pay attention to the world, you know that half of your prejudices, if not almost all of them, come from your culture, come from worshiping your culture, right? So to come to that final unity on the globe, we'll have to kind of let go of most of it, if not all of it. I mean, people feel prejudice even the way we dress up, right? And it's just covering your body's necessity here. How could that cause prejudice? Amazing, right? And these things matter. Most of our problems about each other, with each other, are lack of communication. That's why I often say you actually become friends, you live together, you help together, you work together. Lots of those things go away because you get to see the real self and you find out that you were all same human being, even though you grew up in different places. Our aspirations are the same, our dreams are the same, our blood runs the same. So most of that is misunderstanding. What causes misunderstanding? Not understanding each other. How do we not understand each other? Because we speak different language and we live different cultures. And we get too attached to those. But all of those things are actually tools. Culture is a tool for a human society to coherently grow. Language is a tool to be able to talk to each other. Can you imagine we killing each other because your hammer looks better than mine? Have you ever heard of that? It's so stupid, right? All of us do see that. That is so stupid. If your hammer is red and mine is blue and somebody else brings a color and all that, and you start killing each other because your hammer is red and mine is blue, how stupid is that? We all see how stupid is that. But the language is the same thing. The culture is the same thing. These are tools. You had a bigger jug of red paint and you painted everything red, and I had more of a blue color available. I painted everything blue. It's just tools. See that? I mean, and we are killing each other over these things. We are hating each other over those things. How much effort and energy and life and years of our collective life are dissipated in waste, right? So one language. One language for this dispensation. For communications. All right. And it won't be Hindi. I promise you that. Neither it will be Urdu. All right. So give up on that. Give up on that. The signs are already there, what is happening, if you're willing to open our eyes and see it. Right? It's actually is already implemented. Baha'u'llah gave us the right to choose and we didn't. And it's implemented. It's working. Tell me what that is.
Are you talking about English?
Yes.
What?
Yes, we are here. We are here from in this one class. We are from 5 or 6 different native languages. No, native languages. We are communicating in English across the globe. Okay. So that, to me, it's this is totally me, by the way. So this last part, maybe I should stop recording and then say that to you, and then I have to run because I don't like my opinions left on recorded lines. So